Well, here we are for part two. I'm very happy to say that I am pretty much done with the Eastern Beaver 4CS install. Well, at least for the signal wire and stuff like that. I still have the wiring to do in the back. I'm gonna wire in the the battery tender, and but that's not remotely as complicated as all the other stuff that I've been doing. So, just to revisit where we are. Here's the Eastern Beaver kit right here. It ties into the battery quite obviously, and then it runs on this inside frame rail like I mentioned before. There are the connectors for all the optional pieces. 3 of them are switched and 1 of them is non-switched. There are the fuses for the switched ones, and then the main fuse and the unswitched fuse are underneath this connector here. So my advice to Eastern Beaver would be, let me get a tape measure here. I think I would, so right now that connector is probably around, I think you're getting a little angle here, but right now the fuses are probably right around 4 inches, maybe 4.5 away from the positive terminal. I think I would move them more to about 8. So that way they wouldn't be, you know, under these connectors, and I think that'd be a good thing. Don't make the overall thing longer, just, you know, move it upwards, so to speak. So instead of it being here, move it to about there. As far as the overall length of the Eastern Beaver harness, I think you could actually bring it in a little. These connectors could probably go this way, maybe, I don't know, an inch, you know, maybe, actually, maybe you leave these here and bring this in slightly so it's more here, so the fuses are kind of sitting here instead of the middle of the motorcycle. First of all, it's not a big deal. I'm just, you know, making some minor suggestions. And the relay is maybe a bit on the long side. That could be brought in, you know, so maybe it resided under here or something like that, or, you know, somewhere here. It doesn't need to be, you know, quite so long. So I guess I would bring the relay in, you know, maybe, well, let's get the tape measure and look. I would bring the relay in maybe, you know, 5-ish inches maybe, because the relay is kind of long. Well, I'm measuring from the tip of the relay. How about we go like that? Maybe bring the relay in, you know, 4 inches or something like that. Leave the connectors where they are, and then bring the fuses to about here. So that would probably bring the fuses in maybe 2 or 3 inches. I think it'd be perfectly fine if the fuses were sitting here. They'd be a little less out of the way in my opinion. So that's certainly something to think about. But overall, the kit's great. You know, there's really no issues with it. As far as the front goes, as I mentioned, you know, you could do it on the inside or the outside of the frame rail. I pushed the battery out of the way. Well, I took the battery out, used the, you know, pushed this plastic box to the side. I removed those screws like I mentioned, and I was able to run the connector, the signal connector, up through here. And you can see it now. I think it looks really good. It's kind of behind there. You see it's that shiny wire right there that I'm touching. It goes underneath this. Recall that you can push that out of the way, that grommet or whatever you want to call it, out of the way, so you can go underneath it, make it look really good. I went underneath this little ledge of metal here, continues onward, and then it dips down into that spot in front of the air box. I'm probably not going to be able to get any good video in there, but at the end of the signal wire is 2 connectors, and there are 2 particular connectors that fit just right for this motorcycle. One connects to the accessory plug, which is already in there, which is great, and then there's a second new female plug that then you could then continue to take electricity off of the accessory plug. So the accessory plug can now do 2 things. It can signal to the relay that we have, you know, that the motorcycle's turned on and turn on the other circuits. And you can continue to use the accessory plug to, you know, power something. Like in my case, I'm going to use it to power a USB on the front of a USB phone charger on the front of the motorcycle, which I'll show you in a little bit. So lastly, nothing to do with Eastern Beaver. This signal wire, by the way, is exactly the right length. Shouldn't be longer, shouldn't be shorter. It's perfect the way it is. So then what I did is I created this this new connector right here. You can see that I was running some tests on it. and I threaded that, well, I fed it up in over the radiator up into this spot in the air box, and I was able to connect this to the new female plug on the signal wire, and then the existing male plug on the signal wire, and the female plug accessory wire that's on the motorcycle. I was able to connect them, and then that's how this is now getting power. So this is switched power now, independent of the other circuits that Eastern Beaver provides on this. One quick note: it's extremely hard to to get in there. I'm not going to bother videoing it, but actually maybe you can see the connector down there. But you can't even get a finger in there. At least I can't. So what I did, in order to connect it, there's no free play on the accessory connector. So you can't pull it up 3 or 4 inches and plug them in. I mean it's down there. And then it only, it can only like really just kind of wiggle about a little bit. There's no free play to pull it up to plug it in. So what I did is I took a long screwdriver, this particular one, I zip tied it to the new connector, the new signal wire connector up here, where it goes in. I zip tied it, and that way I was able to use the screwdriver to kind of aim the connector and then plug it in, because like I said, I could never get my hand in there. So zip tied this to the new connector, and then gently pushed, and I was able to click it and get it in. I heard it click, and I've tested it, and it works, so it's right. I wouldn't want to undo it. That wouldn't be easy, but it's connected now, and it should be good to go. So I guess I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm looking forward to putting the motorcycle back together. I can lower the gas tank now. Everything is zip tied into position. While I had the motorcycle up, I did a throttle position adjustment, so that's all good. And I'm really looking forward to using this, and I guess that's it. Take care, and best of luck if you should go this route.